It takes about 7 or 8.
Okay. The December 4th, 2019 meeting of the Windsor Planning Commission will now come to order. Will the secretary please call the roll?
Doug Dennison,
Present.
Victor Talon,
Present.
Gail Schick,
Present.
Jerry Bushelman,
Present.
Timothy Reddick,
Present.
Cindy Showerman.
Present.
The next agenda item is a review of the agenda itself by the Planning Commission for any potential changes or additions to the agenda.
Mr. Chair, I move we accept the agenda as written.
Second. It's been moved by Commissioner Talon, seconded by Commissioner Bushelman, that we accept the agenda as presented. Those in favor will vote yes. Those opposed, vote no. And motion carries unanimously. Next item is the public invited to be heard. If there is someone in the audience who has an item that they wish to present to the commission tonight that is not on tonight's agenda, now is the time to do so. And if you do have something that you wish to present, you come up to the podium, give us your name and address, and we'll give you a 3-minute time frame to provide your information. So if there's anybody who has something that is not on tonight's agenda, now's the time to do so. See nobody's beating feet up to the front, I guess we'll be okay to move on that one. Next is the consent calendar, which is there is no consent calendar items. And we'll move down to the board action items. So we will close our regular meeting, open up a public hearing for a conditional use grant to allow temporary use not specifically included as a use by right in any zone district. David, did you want to give us your take on this one?
Yeah, I do. Thank you, Mr. Chair. For the record on this public hearing, I need to disclose that I am a sitting member of the Town Board of Windsor, and I'm here in my capacity as a non-voting liaison to the Planning Commission. Although I'm present during this public hearing, I will not be giving my opinion or participating in the discussion. I will not let tonight's proceeding influence or affect my review of this matter when or if it comes before the Town Board. I will make my decision at the Town Board level based only on the evidence presented during the Town Board public hearing. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, David. Paul, you got the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Planning Commission. Before I get into the presentation too much, I do want to first note that if you happen to look at the packet materials before about 5 o'clock today, there were some last-minute changes, just so you're aware of those. And I'll try and point those out as I go through. So this conditional use grant has been reviewed in accordance with the Municipal Code, Article 7, Chapter 16. The subject property is located at the southern end of Great Western Drive in the Great Western Industrial Park. It's approximately a mile south of Eastman Park Drive. The property is zoned heavy industrial, or IH. The subject application is to allow a temporary use not enumerated in the municipal code. That use being a shipping container storage yard. The property, again, is heavy industrial zoning. It's surrounded by some undeveloped land, farmland. There is a existing industrial business to the west, as well as a couple of farmhouses, one to the north and one to the east. The proposed use would occur on approximately 25 acres on Lot 5. The majority of that space would be dedicated to the outdoor storage of approximately 2,700 storage containers. The containers themselves are about 40 feet long, 8 feet wide, 9.5 feet high. They would be stacked up to 3 high for a total height of approximately 29 feet. And there are this is sample images of the containers and the stacking of them, so they would be up to the 3rd level at their highest for a portion of the duration of the site's use. The containers are expected to arrive on the site beginning in the first 2 quarters of next year, 2020. They would be delivered by truck, and they would be offloaded from the site beginning in the 4th quarter of 2020 through the year 2023. The site would be enclosed with security chain link fencing with barbed wire and monitored by security cameras. The landscape plan proposed does include landscaping along the Great Western Drive frontage, around the detention pond on the south end, as well as a buffer on the southeast side for the existing farmhouse in that area. The applicant has provided some photo simulations to show the expected visual impact. One of the items that was changed in the packet today was they had originally proposed a 4-high stacking. They've reduced that to 3-high stacking, and this photo simulation is reflecting the 3-high stacking. They're shown in red in this drawing to make them a little more visible. They would actually be more of a more neutral color. This is just, again, for the presentation so you can see them. This is about a mile south, again, of Eastman Park Drive, and there is about a 20-foot elevation drop from Eastman Park down towards this site. So that would mitigate the visual impact from Eastman Park to a certain extent. And this simulation is using the more kind of darker colors that would actually be used, and you can't really see them in the simulation with those darker colors. This is a simulation showing the original proposal with the 4-high stacking, but again, it's been reduced to 3-high, but just to show that a visual from from Great Western Drive. Another component that has changed today was they had originally proposed a temporary fabric storage warehouse of about 50,000 square feet. That building is no longer proposed. So again, this is an older picture with that warehouse structure, which is no longer proposed, and there would be storage containers there like the rest of the site. The municipal code does list 9 standards for approval of a conditional use grant: the quality and character of the area, the physical appearance. Back up to number 1. So the subject property is within the industrial park. It's surrounded by generally undeveloped or agricultural land, again with a couple of farmhouses and 1 industrial business in the vicinity. Future industrial development is possible to the northeast and west. The floodplain and Poudre River make development to the south unlikely. The Poudre River Trail does pass within approximately a quarter mile of the site. The future Crossroads Boulevard extension from State Highway 257 to O Street in Greeley is also anticipated to cross immediately south of this site, but there is no timetable for that construction at this time. The second component for review, number 2, the physical appearance of the use, including suitability of architecture and landscaping. This particular use would be surrounded by a screen fence with slats and landscaping to provide some level of ground level screening, but again, with a height up to 29 feet, there would be some visibility from surrounding areas. Third criteria, appropriate location of the building or buildings on the lot. This is no longer applicable with no buildings proposed. Provision of parking, loading, and circulation facilities. There is very minimal parking needed due to no full-time employees on site. There would be 2 part-time employees on site just for the loading and unloading of these containers. There is provision for circulation and loading of containers provided. And this is the type of equipment that would be used for the loading. There are approximately 50-foot rows for that maneuvering. do want to note there's the Greeley water line, two of them running, traversing diagonally across the site. So they would need to stay off of that with heavy equipment or provide the necessary cover over the line. Number 5 for review is the potential effect of off-site vehicular pedestrian circulation. The trucks will be arriving with containers for approximately the first 6 months of operation, with approximately 30 round trips per day during that period. As the containers are shipped off-site, the applicant anticipates 3 to 5 trucks per day picking up containers for delivery, meaning up to 10 trips per day, so fairly minimal traffic impacts. Number 6, potential effect on storm drainage. Detention is provided on site, and this application will be required to conform to all applicable stormwater regulations. Number 8, provision of controls to avoid hazardous conditions. I'm sorry, I skipped number 7. Adequacy of planting screens where necessary. Again, they are providing landscaping along the Great Western Drive frontage and as a screening buffer to the house to the east. There is no screening or no landscaping on the north side, and so that will provide some level of screening and buffering. Number 8, provision of controls to avoid hazardous conditions. There have been no such conditions identified with this use. And finally, number 9, general compatibility of the proposed use with the area in which it's to be located. The use is compatible with heavy industrial zoning of the area, and the landscape buffering proposed to the adjacent house should increase the compatibility between those 2 different uses. The notification for this conditional use grant was done in the accordance with the municipal code. Do want to also state, I don't think it was in the narrative, but it's in the application materials. The containers contain solar equipment that for different tax type reasons they need to get onto American soil essentially. So that's kind of the impetus for this request, is to have a temporary landing place for those essentially. The staff recommends Planning Commission forward to Town Board recommendation of approval of the application, subject to a number of conditions. I apologize, number 1 is rather wordy. The conditional use grant shall initially be valid for a period of 2 years. Prior to completion of the 2-year term, the applicant may request a 1-year extension to be reviewed by the planning director. If the director determines the use is in conformance with all conditions contained herein and other applicable code requirements, a 1-year extension shall be granted administratively by staff. If the director determines the use is not in conformance with the conditions contained herein or other applicable code requirements, the extension request shall be referred to Planning Commission and Town Board in accordance with CUG procedures per the town's municipal code. A second 1-year extension may be granted following the same procedure. No further extensions shall be considered. Number 2, containers shall be limited to no higher than 19 feet, except that stacking up to 29 feet shall be permissible until December 31st, 2021. And that's a kind of consistent with the operating plan of the applicant to start offloading the equipment. And they've indicated this condition will work for them. Number 3, a site plan in conformance with the municipal code requirements, including landscaping, shall be reviewed and approved by staff prior to construction of the facility. Right-of-way shall be dedicated for Great Western Drive and Crossroads Boulevard. Number 5, use shall adhere to all Greeley water requirements regarding water line easement traversing the site. And number 6, all outstanding Planning Commission and staff comments shall be addressed. would like to request the following be entered into the record: the application, supplemental materials, the staff memo, supporting documents, testimony from public hearing, as well as the recommendation. The 9 standards for conditional use grant, again, are included in your packet material for consideration. I do want to note the applicant's present, and I don't know if you had a presentation that you wanted to share.
Not a presentation, but just a introduction.
Okay, so unless there's any questions for me at this time.
Okay. Probably not at the moment. I'll let the applicant go ahead with his introductions there, and then we'll take questions.
I've actually got one quick question for Paul. On the 2-year initial time frame in the recommendation, does that 2-year clock start from the time of final approval of the CUG, or does that start prior to fourth quarter 2020 when they plan to start bringing storage containers in?
I would say it starts when they begin use of the site or
Okay.
construction of the site. Yeah.
Great, thank you.
So if the applicant could give his introductions, and we'll take some questions. So if you could come to the podium, please. You lost coin flip there.
Yeah, good evening. Hello, everyone. Thank you, first and foremost, to the Planning Commission for hearing us on our
We
desired
get your name and
timetable.
address for the record.
Yep, my name is Ben Goldwasser.
Okay, thank you.
So I'm with Central Oceans, who's the applicant for the CUG, and this is my colleague, Adam Bird.
Okay.
So like first and foremost, thank you to the Planning Commission and to the town planners, Paul and John, for the clear communication and channels of communication, and for hearing us on our desired schedule. Just high level, I think Paul did a good job of outlining the project details. But this project is a storage solution for renewable energy solar cargoes and shipping containers, be a foreign trade zone activated space. The landowner, Great Western Industrial Park, and our engineer is also here, and happy to answer any questions, and we're happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Okay, how about if we take any questions from the public, since we're still in the public portion of the process, and then if we have some questions, which I'm sure we will, we'll ask you then, okay?
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anybody else in the audience have any questions, comments pertaining to this agenda item? If you could come to the podium, give us your information.
Hi, my name's John Manish. I live on the farmhouse south of this property. What I was wondering is, are you going to pave it or gravel it or something? I mean, otherwise everything's just going to sink in this ground.
So the lot itself.
Could you come up to the podium, and that way we have it for record?
Well, thank you, and nice to meet you. So the lot itself that's outlined is going to be compacted and graded, per the grading plan from our civil engineers, and then there will be a gravel fill in the lot, and that would prevent the containers from sinking and prevent mud and other debris from leaving the lot. So it would be gravel, to answer your question, and the containers would be supported and stabilized.
Okay. John, you have any other further questions or anything?
Is all this work going to be done? Is all this work going to be done like during normal business hours? Because there's a lot of 24-hour work going on around me, and that's getting a little close for my sleeping habits.
And any other questions while you're up here?
I may think of some later.
Your 3 minutes is now, buddy.
Yes, to address the hours of operation, construction would be during business or daylight hours, and then the actual operations themselves, the offloading and delivery of these containers would be during business hours as well.
Okay. Anyone else in the audience have any questions? If you'd come to the podium or comments.
Yes, my name is Carol Weber, and if we could look at the map again, I believe the property that belonged to my late brother-in-law is the property directly right to the south? I think. We need to clarify, we would like to clarify that. So it's let's see, John, yours is the one down further south, right? And so our property is the one that is cut out right there, outlining the property. It'd be the southeast.
Corner.
Yeah, southeast corner. Okay. Another question I have, all the truck traffic will be coming in off of Great Western Drive, right? Or will it be coming down Weld County Road 23?
It would be coming down Great Western Drive, yeah.
Great Western Drive, okay, all right. Do you have any other questions? Okay, I think that answered our question. Oh, and one more. So there will be a fence put all around the property, like on the west side and the north side, is that correct?
Correct, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Probably east and west also?
Yeah,
All four sides.
yeah, we're just gonna block us in. Thanks.
Okay. Any other questions, comments from the public? Comments, questions from the commission?
I had a couple.
No, we're done. I'm gonna do this first.
I had a couple.
Go. Okay.
I noted in the materials that there's going to be security system for the property that will be obviously to keep whatever is there secure. Will there be any lighting associated with that?
Yes, so in the narrative package, we did call out the placement of approximately 15 light poles. They'd be motion activated only, and we'd have protection to prevent any spillover. Like I mentioned, this is a foreign trade zone, and so Customs and Border Protection has a role in determining the security that's necessary. If they feel that additional lighting is not necessary, because the cameras can work without lighting, we would eliminate the light poles.
And my second question, we've established that the traffic flow is coming in on Great Western Drive. From what direction is the traffic coming prior to Great Western Drive? Where are the trucks coming from?
Yeah, so originally the containers will be picked up in Denver, and so I can kind of defer to Adam because he's more local, but he can maybe tell you the exact routing, but they'll be coming from Denver.
Okay.
Yeah, that's one of the questions I have also, as far as the truck route. You have somebody who could address that?
Yes, hi everybody. My name is Adam Bird. I'm also with Central Oceans, and we will be picking up the containers at the Union Pacific Rail Yard in Denver. We'll be coming up I-25, if that answers the question on the specific routing. I'm not familiar with Windsor to how we get from I-25 to Great Western, but the major truck corridor was what we would use.
Yeah, I would suggest it don't come through Main Street. So if we want to,
Crossroads.
yeah,
Crossroads.
crossroads, probably be the best way to come.
It'd probably be 34. I don't have my geography
34
down for
crossroads.
Weld County.
But not coming through Main Street. And anybody else have any questions?
I do.
Jerry, go ahead.
Some of these conditions we're talking about they're supposedly going to do, should we include those as conditions in our approval? Or are you going to note them?
The hours and the truck route, are you asking about those?
The truck route particularly, yes.
If you feel it's important, I would suggest you do it as a condition, of approval.
Right. And the other thing is, wonder if we ought to put a provision in there about that the applicant needs to take all measures necessary to keep mud from getting on the road. I don't know if that's a town ordinance they have to do, or if we should put in as a condition of this.
It's required regardless for any site that you can't be tracking mud. So I believe it's adequately addressed.
Okay. Good. I don't know what you think about it. Anything else?
Any other questions, comments?
Move to close public hearing.
Second.
And moved by Commissioner Talon, second by Commissioner Dennison, that we close the public hearing. Those in favor of the motion will vote yes. Those opposed, vote no. Motion carries unanimously. We'll now reconvene our regular meeting, going on to agenda item number 2, which is a recommendation to the town board for a conditional use grant. Any further information, Paul, that you had? Or are we okay with what you give us everything?
Nothing further to add, no.
Okay. Any comments further from the commission? Okay.
Mr. Chair, I'd move that we forward to the town board a recommendation of approval of the conditional use grant, subject to the following conditions, with an addition of item 4, which would be the delivery route.
Second. And moved by Commissioner Talon, seconded by Commissioner Dennison. That we forward a recommendation of approval to the town board on the conditions that are listed by town staff and adding the delivery route to be defined.
Mr. Chair, just to clarify, is that a request that they work with staff to define that, or that they specifically avoid Main Street?
I'd say work with staff to define that, and both. Avoid Main Street, yeah. All the above. So, okay. Those in favor of the motion will vote yes. Those opposed, vote no. And motion carries unanimously. So thank you, gentlemen. Any communication from Planning Commission? You're it.
I just had a comment on the site plan that was included in communications, not necessarily specific to that one, but would it be too much hassle to include a slide that includes a map so we know the location? Because trying to read the tiny print of the streets to figure out where the location is a little tricky on some of those.
Yeah, we can definitely do that.
That would be awesome.
Especially for
Thank
those
you.
of us that have a little trouble with seeing. Not that you do.
Well, I was gonna say, if I have trouble seeing, I'm sure you do.
Happens on occasion. Happens on occasion.
No communications here.
Terry.
The only thing, I will not be available for next meeting.
Okay. Mr. Talon.
No communications, sir.
Doug.
I'm gonna pull a Jerry Bushelman and get him his shoulder repaired on the 18th, so I won't be here for the, at least.
So you're never gonna be able to pitch again, huh?
No, I never could.
He was 4 balls and out.
Second by that man on the board.
Yeah. Okay. They're whittling us down here.
Yeah.
Town board liaison, David.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I guess the only thing would be to remind the group of the town holiday banquet at the Big Red Barn on December 13th, 6 p.m. Wear your dancing shoes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Big Red Barn, huh? Anything else?
No, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Communication from staff.
Do just want to point out, as Cindy alluded to, there's the site plan communications item in your packet, so if you have any comments on that, it's a, you've previously seen it, it's a pretty significant change, so we just wanted to communicate that to you. If you have any comments, please get those to us by next Monday.
Okay.
Question. You're talking about the tunnel, the car wash?
Correct,
Where is
yes.
that located? Where is Holiday and Crossroads?
Crossroads, and it's,
Hospitality.
Hospitality, right?
yeah, just a couple watts east of where the Arby's just went in.
Is that where the new road going to be Hospitality? The new street they put in?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah, there'll be a new street with the car wash.
Okay.
Anything else, Paul?
Other items, we do have a agenda item for the next meeting, so if anyone else knows they're going to be out, please let us know. Other than that, I don't know, John, have you, I don't know if John Thornhill's our new community development director, so he's here in Scott's Place tonight as he's out, but John, you want to introduce yourself at all?
Yeah, I was gonna say, am I the only one that don't know who you are?
Yeah, I figured it was about time for me to actually show up to one of these, and Scott was out on family stuff, so I thought I'd fill in for him, and it's nice to meet you all, and if you have any questions for me, please feel free to ask.
Great. Excellent.
And you're just happy to be here, aren't you?
I am.
Anything else? Guess we're good.
Yep, move to adjourn.
We are adjourned.
Good bar.